The treatment approach at Real Recovery is acceptance and commitment therapy, and our philosophy is that substance use is a form of avoidance, and so usually the substance use itself is not the primary problem. It's just the loudest behavior that's drawing the most attention for clients. And so when we look at substance use at Real Recovery, we're thinking about why are they using substances in the way that they are? Why is this working for them? And so when we use acceptance and commitment therapy in our sober living and clinical approach, it allows us to help clients increase their psychological flexibility so that when they experience the normal stress that's connected to being in early recovery, they're able to reattune in that moment and they don't lose sight of what's really important to them or what's valuable to them. And it gives them a chance to really have long-term success in recovery versus just trying really hard not to use without all of those other layers in place about what's important to me, what's valuable to me, why am I doing the things that I'm doing, and knowing that suffering and sadness and pain are going to be things that we experience as human beings. Part of the Real Recovery process is that we're focused on the young adult stage of development. And so when a client's at Real Recovery, they're able to look at each domain of their life and understand and reflect on and increase insight into what matters to me in this domain, what matters to me in terms of my social connections with other people, what type of career do I want to have, what gives me a sense of purpose and meaning, how do I want to take care of myself from a physiological or wellness perspective, how do I think about the world, what's my spiritual stance. And so when you're able to engage in a program that's more trans-diagnostic and not so focused on the substance use itself, but more how is this person engaging with life as a whole, you are able to really know who you are. And when you have that ability to have a clear sense of identity, a clear understanding of what's valuable to you, and then how does that then direct and guide my actions and my behaviors and my overall engagement with the world, that provides this sense of well-being. We know that from a scientific, empirical standpoint, that the more we know about ourselves and the more psychological flexibility we have, the better we feel really about everything, the more like ourselves we feel. And so for young adults specifically, there's often this cultural, paradoxical situation that they're in where this stage of life is supposed to be exploratory and trivial, and this is when you have fun and you're free of responsibility. But at the same time, there's this cutoff of, why aren't you acting more like an adult? You should be more responsible by now. And it's really sort of a combination of mixed messages. And so being engaged with the support that Real Recovery has to offer and the reflection and the clinical depth that you get when you engage with this treatment team allows clients to put all of those pieces together and recognize that this really isn't a trivial time of life. This is a time for reflection and exploration, but in a way that has depth and is in the spirit of increasing their understanding of their own self-concept and who they are, not just, nothing matters right now. And so when you leave Real Recovery or when you've gone through this process, you're sort of engaging with the world in a way that's grounded and solid and recognizes that how I engage is something that I'm responsible for and should be connected to what's really important to me. Another defining feature for Real Recovery is that we have, an emphasis on family and relationship and social connection, which is, of course, we know so important in recovery. It's important no matter what. It's definitely important in recovery. And having family workshop and the opportunity to really look at how you're connecting to other people through family sessions and family engagement is a big part of the Real Recovery process. Real Recovery is a place for young adults to come when they're early in recovery and connect with people who have had shared experiences, who are attached to a level of depth when it comes to how do we want to be as human beings, how do we want to be as ourselves, and we really focus on this compassionate, value-focused drive towards helping people understand who they are and how they want to be, and ultimately reaching their full potential, so that as they get into their adult stage of development, as they get into their adult lives, those things that are exploratory or sometimes feel like, unknowns are a little bit more solidified. So Real offers clients this opportunity to definitely get into recovery from substance use, but also really become sort of who they are and want to be.